the gifts of service and helps. And serving is really a broad word in the Greek. And we really see I believe, the office of deacon or something similar to it is in Acts 6. And the word literally refers to someone waiting on tables. What happened is some widows were being neglected in the daily distribution of bread. And that was an incredibly important ministry that could not be given up. Yet at the same time, the apostles could not give up prayer and ministering of the word. So what did they do? In the wisdom of God, they established people who would be able to serve and accomplish this incredibly important ministry. In the same way, God gives people the gift of service, right, to free up people like Raymond and Bobby to spend more time studying the word and teaching and praying and doing ministries that God has called them to. And the gift of helps, I believe, is very similar, but has more of a direct supportive idea. So I think perhaps you could say, someone like, let's say, who spends their time cleaning or preparing food or helping with those kind of tasks for church, I think that's closer to the idea of the gift of service, whereas helping running audiovisual and lighting is perhaps more to the gift of helps. If you're like me, I look at these gifts and I think, oh man, they seem really, really similar. And I don't think it's important to establish exactly which one it is. Now, I believe I have a unique calling to use my gift of helps. The way I believe mine manifests is that whenever I see a need, I have a deep desire and joy to go fill that need. But if there's someone who's filling that need already, I have no desire to be in that position. One example is, I walk into Cross Church before church one day, and I see Bobby doing his Bobby walk. I'm thinking, oh, he wants something. He's laughing right now. But it's like, oh, he's got to want something. But then he looked away from me, like, oh, never mind. But then he looked and circled back. He was like, okay, he's about to ask me something. And he asked me to help with camera and stuff. Or I remember back in college, there's one service project that a bunch of my friends did. I believe it was every week or every other week. And it's a ministry I greatly cherished. But I only wanted to go if there was a need. And they had to have a certain number of people for it to really be operate how they wanted to. And so what I would do is I would show up whenever they're about to leave. If there's enough people, I would just stay back and read my Bible or something. But if there wasn't, I would go. And I believe that's just a unique gifting of helps in my life, right? Because whenever I see a need for a ministry to function, I just have a deep desire to fulfill that. And so now the gift of mercy is important to see that mercy is not just sympathy, but active, heartfelt compassion. And here's its definition from John MacArthur. Mercy is seeing a man without food and giving him food. Mercy is seeing a person begging for love and giving him love. Mercy is seeing someone lonely and giving him company. Mercy is meeting the need, not just feeling it. So mercy is not just having these feelings, but it's actually doing something for the person. And some examples of mercy in the scriptures, oh man, one huge one is Joseph and his brothers. If you remember, Joseph's brothers betrayed him. They're going to take his life. Then like, oh wait, we can make money for him. So they sold him, right? Just this huge, horrible betrayal. And we see Joseph's just a beautiful forgiveness towards his brothers towards the end of Genesis. Or Jesus healing the sick, how like it was such a sweet, divine demonstration of God's compassion and mercy, both to the physical issue, but to the infinitely more important, the spiritual issue that God desires to raise all of us from the dead and to heal all of our spiritual blindness. And then hospitality. Now, this gift is not specifically mentioned as a spiritual gift in the Bible. And I think it's important to understand that I don't think the spiritual gifts lists in the Bible are completely exhaustive. And here's one example. The Bible has people called evangelists, but there's never a mention of the gift of evangelism. But because there's evangelists, I just assume there's a gift of evangelism. And I think a similar thing with hospitality. I believe the Lord specifically gifts believers with this gift. And remember, hospitality is a command for all believers in Scripture. 1 Peter 4:9, show hospitality to one another without grumbling. And the without grumbling kind of cracks me up because I can see someone just like or yeah, I guess I'll meet this guy's needs or help him, whatever, you know? It's like, no, we're not to grumble at all. And Hebrews 13:2, do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. And I just think that's such a sweet, sweet passage there. And I definitely believe the author of Hebrews is pointing to how Abraham and Lot had entertained angels in the Bible. Go read the stories. But of course, don't live like Lot lived, okay? But go read the stories, and I believe that was an encouragement for us. Perhaps the greatest encouragement for me in the Bible to show hospitality is in Matthew 25. It's way too long to read it, but I encourage you to read it yourself. But how, like, man, when we do these kind gifts for people, we are doing it for Christ. And so hospitality, though not specifically mentioned as a spiritual gift, I believe is one, but it's still a command that all believers are to follow.